The crowd at the bus station thought it was just a tragic accident until a female detective noticed one tiny mark on the dead man's neck, a mark that proved someone in that crowd was actually a killer. The first scream cut through the bus station like a blade. I turned just in time to see the crowd surge forward, people pushing and stumbling over each other as the evening buses began loading. It was rush hour at Ashford Bus Depot, the kind of place where noise and chaos blended into something almost normal. Engines rumbling, drivers shouting routes, vendors selling coffee. Then someone shouted, "Someone's down." The pushing stopped. A small circle formed near Platform 9. From where I stood, I could see a man lying on the ground between two parked buses. His body was twisted awkwardly, one arm under him, his face pale beneath the harsh station lights. People whispered, "Stampede. He must have fallen, probably hit his head." By the time the local police arrived, the story had already decided itself. A tragic accident during a rush. Except accidents don't usually make my instincts itch. My name is Detective Lena Carter, and that night I happened to be passing through the station on my way home from a long shift. I wasn't supposed to get involved, but the moment I saw the body, I knew something was wrong. The patrol officer crouched beside the man. "Pulse is gone," he said. "Looks like he got trampled." People nodded, relieved to have an explanation, but I noticed something no one else seemed to see. The man's coat was neat, too neat. In a stampede like that, fabric tears, buttons snap, shoes get lost. Yet his coat looked untouched. I stepped closer. "Excuse me," I said quietly. The officer looked up. "Ma'am, please step back." I showed my badge. "Detective Lena Carter." His expression shifted immediately. "Oh, sorry, Detective." I crouched beside the body. The victim looked around 45, clean-shaven, office worker type. A leather briefcase lay a few feet away, but it was his neck that caught my attention. A faint, thin line, barely visible, curved across the side of his throat. Not a bruise, not a scrape, something sharper. I leaned closer. The officer frowned. "You see something?" "Maybe," I said, because what I saw looked very much like the mark from a thin blade. The paramedics arrived minutes later and loaded the body onto a stretcher. "Name?" I asked. One of the officers checked the wallet. "Daniel Reeves, address here in town." I nodded slowly. "Take him to the morgue," I said, "and tell the coroner I want a full autopsy." The officer hesitated. "Detective, it's just a crowd accident." "Maybe," I said, but I already knew it wasn't. The next morning, the autopsy report confirmed my suspicion. Cause of death, a deep puncture wound just below the jawline. The blade had slipped into the carotid artery. Quick, precise, professional. The stampede hadn't killed Daniel Reeves. It had hidden his murder. I returned to Ashford Bus Depot that afternoon. The station looked calmer in daylight, but the smell of diesel and coffee still hung in the air. I spoke first with the driver of the bus parked closest to where the body was found. "Did you see anything unusual yesterday?" I asked. The driver shook his head. "Just the usual rush, people pushing to get seats." "Did you see Mr. Reeves?" "Yeah," he said slowly. "He was waiting near the platform line." "Was he alone?" The driver thought for a moment. "No, someone was standing close to him." My attention sharpened. "Who?" He shrugged. "Couldn't see the face. Hooded jacket." "Great. Half the city owned one of those." Security cameras were my next hope. The depot manager led me to a small office where the monitors flickered with footage from dozens of angles. We rewound to the time of the stampede. Crowds moved across the screen in fast waves. Then we found him. Daniel Reeves stood near the platform sign, checking his watch. Someone stood beside him, a person in a dark hoodie, their shoulder pressed close. too close. The crowd suddenly surged forward. In the chaos, the hooded figure leaned slightly toward Reeves, then stepped away. Seconds later, Reeves collapsed. My stomach tightened. "Freeze that," I said. The image sharpened. The killer's face remained hidden beneath the hood, but one detail stood out: a bright silver ring on their hand, a ring shaped like a snake. I spent the next 6 hours asking around the depot. Eventually, a coffee vendor recognized it. "That ring?" he said. "Yeah, I've seen it before." "Where?" He pointed across the station. "Security guard, the tall guy." The guard's name was Ethan Cole. He sat in the security office when I walked in. Tall, calm, too calm, and on his right hand, a silver snake ring. "Detective," he said politely, "how can I help you?" I leaned against the desk. "Tell me about last night." "Busy shift, crowd panic, tragic accident." "Accident?" I asked. He nodded. I held up a photo from the camera footage. "Interesting thing about accidents, they don't usually involve knives." His smile faded slightly. "I don't know what you mean." "Daniel Reeves was murdered." Silence filled the room. Then Ethan leaned back slowly. "You think I did it?" I met his eyes. "I think you stood close enough." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he laughed softly. "You have proof?" "I don't yet, but I'm watching your hands. And when people lie, their hands often betray them." His fingers tapped the desk, restless, nervous. "Daniel Reeves owed money," Ethan said suddenly. "Money?" I asked. "Big money." That surprised me. "What kind of money?" He shrugged. "Gambling." "Funny, because his bank records say otherwise." The tapping stopped. "A small mistake, but a revealing one." "You knew him well," I said quietly. "Too well." Ethan's eyes hardened. 2 hours later, we found the real connection. Daniel Reeves worked as an accountant. 3 weeks earlier, he had reported financial irregularities at a private security company, the same company that employed Ethan Cole. Reeves had discovered someone inside the company stealing large sums of money, someone with access to security systems, someone who could move unnoticed, someone who worked night shifts, someone like Ethan. When we searched his locker, we found the weapon, a thin stiletto blade, small enough to hide in a sleeve, sharp enough to kill in seconds. The blood test matched Daniel Reeves. The interrogation room felt colder that night. Ethan sat across from me, the silver snake ring still on his finger. "I think you planned it well," I said. "Crowded station, quick strike." He said nothing. "But you didn't expect Reeves to show up early," I continued. His jaw tightened. "And when the crowd surged, you took your chance." Still silence. Then, finally, he spoke. "You have no witnesses." "No," I said calmly, "but I have the knife." I slid the evidence bag onto the table. "And the camera footage." His eyes flickered. "And motive," I added. Another long silence. Then Ethan sighed, a long, defeated breath. "He was going to ruin everything," he muttered. "By telling the truth," I said. He looked at the table. "I just needed a few more weeks." His voice faded. Confession complete. 3 months later, Ethan Cole was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Daniel Reeves. The judge called it a cold and calculated crime. But what stayed with me wasn't the crime itself. It was how easily the truth could have disappeared. If I hadn't noticed that small mark on his neck, if the crowd had been a little bigger, if the camera angle had been slightly different, Daniel Reeves's death would have been labeled an accident, and his killer would still be walking free through the crowds of Ashford Bus Depot. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it hides in the smallest details, like a faint line on a man's neck or a silver snake ring glinting beneath the station lights. And sometimes all it takes to uncover a murder is one person willing to look a little closer. Thanks for watching.